you guys. Ben here. Welcome into the flight deck of this Boeing 737-700. Southwest Airlines today. Service from Memphis International, FSDreamTeam Memphis, the somewhat newly released scenery, to Chicago Midway. Scenery there by Fly Tampa. It's a short flight, just over an hour. Flight number is Southwest 1148. We're here on the ground at gate Alpha 27 at Memphis. We're going to be departing to the south off runway 18 center, I believe. And cruising altitude is going to be 350. Current time is about 2:25. Scheduled departure is 2:40, so we need to get going here. Aircraft is powered. Ground connections are good to go. Passengers and fuel are on board. Jetway has been pulled from the door, as we can see if we hop over here. And yeah, fairly clear day here. Weather's not too bad at Memphis. Light wind, relatively clear skies, some scattered clouds. And we can go ahead and get started at this point. So we're going to get passenger signs on now that we have boarded, and the window heat can come on as well. We'll set the pressurization panel, so if we hop over here to the overhead, flight level is going to be 350 as I mentioned earlier, and landing altitude at Chicago Midway is approximately, the surveyed elevation is 619, so we'll round that to 600 feet, and that is done. Don't believe there's any control online here on VATSIM. We are flying on VATSIM, and yeah, we're uncontrolled at Memphis, so we will squawk default IFR, 2200 on the squawk, 2200, and we will monitor Unicom 122.8. Let's get into the FMS and start the pre-flight here. So, we're on the ground at Memphis, KMEM. Can align the IRS here using the GPS. And we're going from Memphis, as I mentioned, to Midway, identifier KMDW, flight number Southwest 1148. Runway is going to be 18 center. And our routing is via, it's a Southport departure to Ohulu, Oscar Hotel Uniform Lima Oscar, Ohulu. From Ohulu, we are direct to the Echo November Lima VOR, and then direct to Phoebe, which is a intersection PHEEB, and then we join the arrival from there. The departure is the Self 4, Ohulu transition, and the arrival is going to be the ND4, current landing config at Midway is, wind is out of the south at 6 knots, available runways are 4 right, 4 left, we have 1-3s, we have 2-2s, we have 3-1s. If the wind's out of the south, we should land on 2-2 or 1-3. However, given that it's a relatively light wind, we're going to plan on landing in the northeast still. If that wind picks up, then we'll see about doing a more southeasterly or southwesterly landing, but for the time being, northeasterly is probably preferred at Midway, and given the light winds, we could get away with it. So ND4 for the transition onto 4 right, it's the Phoebe transition, and we'll take that onto the ILS for runway 4 right. Boehner transition is indeed correct, looking at the charts. We'll transition from the arrival to Boehner onto the approach. And we can activate that and execute that. That's a good flight plan. Our zero fuel weight, 104,000 pounds. Sorry, 100,400 pounds rather. Getting my math mixed up. Never was my strong suit. Reserve fuel is 3.4. Cost index will be, let's make it, we're flying southwest, we'll make it 44. Flight level is 350. If we take a look at the winds aloft here on my other screen, fortunately you guys can't see this, but I do have another monitor up with PFPX and winds aloft. You're going to be 258 at 24. Outside air temperature at top of climb is minus 43. And takeoff performance off 18 center. We can use the TopCat tool to calculate our takeoff performance. And the values it gives us will be We're going to have a 20 kd rate, an assumed OAT of 44, and this is with a flap setting of 1. Center of gravity today is just under 25%, which gives us a trim of just under 5 units on the elevator trim. For takeoff, V-speeds 122, 123, 127. Let's set the parking brake, and we'll start up the APU at this point. While the APU comes alive, we will set the MCP. V2 127. Initial heading here off runway 18. Center is going to be 178. Top altitude is 5,000 feet. Flight directors can come up. We can set the NDs. Like so. We can have VNAV and LNAV on the ground. This is an RNAV departure, and the current altimeter at Memphis is 2990. And that is set. Okay, so the APU should be running here, which it is not quite. We'll wait for that to finish firing up. And once the APU is online, then we can, and there it comes, APU gens on the bus. The yaw damper can come on, and we can go ahead and get rid of our ground connections and call the ground crew over for pushback and start here. Let us run the pre-flight checklist before doing that, though. Instrument transfer and display switches are normal and auto. Window heat is on. Pressurization mode selector is auto. Flight instruments are set. Everything looks fine. Parking brake is set, and the engine start levers are cut off. The pre-flight checklist is complete. So, call the ground crew on over. We're going to get our push and start here, and nose is going to be pointing to the left. Southwest Airlines, of course, we're flying to Southwest. We want that as our handler. Nose left, tail right. And we can get rid of all our ground connections, tell the ground crew thank you, and send them on their way. Okay, open the remainder of the fuel pumps. Anti-collision light is on.
Flight deck, this is ground crew, stand by for pushback.
Before start checklist, flight deck door is closed and locked. The fuel on board. We have just over 13,000 pounds. Pumps are on, passenger signs are on, windows are locked. MCP is set, takeoff speeds are set. The pre-flight, CDU pre-flight is complete. Rudder and aileron trim are both free and zero. Taxi and takeoff briefing. We can briefly go over this. The taxi is going to be November, right on Alpha, right Charlie for a departure at Charlie 8 off 18 Center. Any issues under 80 knots?
Complete. Nose gear steering disconnected for push. Release parking brakes.
Okay, we're going to release the parking brakes.
Okay, here we go. All clear behind the aircraft. Safe to start engine at your discretion.
Starting engine number 2, yeah, any issues under 80 knots, we will immediately abort takeoff. Any issues over 80 knots, we're only stopping for an engine failure or fire, and once we're beyond V1, we are beyond V1. Anti-collision lights are on before start checklist complete. And we can feed fuel into engine number 2. Indications, N1 rising nicely, N2 rising nicely, oil pressure's fine, oil temperature's fine. Just making sure no abnormalities here. There's a good start on number 2, starter cutout, starting number 1. N2 rising, N1 rising, and you want to feed fuel in at about 2.5 N1 or 25% N2. So there's 22% N2, there's 25%, and 1 is now at 2.5, and fuel going into engine number 1.
set. Parking brakes, please.
Alright, the brakes are set. We'll wait for him to unlock the gear at this point. There goes the starter cutout on engine number 1. We have good starts on both engines. Transfer power to the engine gens. APU is off the bus. Turn off the APU itself. APU bleed off. PAX to auto, isolation valve to auto as well. Electric hydraulics can come on at this point, as can the probe heat. Engine start switches
Unlocking
to
gear.
continuous. Auto throttle can be armed. Auto brake can be set to RTO. Flaps are going to flaps
connected.
1.
Remove tow vehicle disconnected.
Alright, and the ground crew's done their thing. Flaps are set. Trim, we can set our elevator trim 4.96 units, so we'll set this just shy of 5. Right about there, trim is set. And we'll have a check of the flight controls at this point.
Clear behind the aircraft, left and right.
Flight controls are checked. Set our transponder here for taxi. And we'll get the taxi light on. Before taxi checklist, generators on, probe heat on, anti-ice is not required, isolation valve is auto, engine start switch is continuous, recall is checked, auto brake RTO, engine start levers are idle detent, flight controls are checked, and the ground equipment is clear before taxi checklist complete. Right, so we can taxi on out here. There goes the marshaller, he's off and away. Brakes released, and we'll taxi on out here straight ahead on November, down for a right on Alpha to Wayne Center. Okay, dispersing the runway here, right hand turn on to Charlie. Let's go ahead and get the weather radar on at this point. And the before takeoff checklist, flaps. Flaps 1 green light, and stabilizer trim is about 4.96 units. Before takeoff checklist complete. Transponder TARI. No traffic in the area that I can see on the ND, and we'll swing a left here on, at Charlie 8 rather. For a full length departure off 18 center, we're ready to go. Let's do it. And we will start the clock. And be on our way. N1, allow the engines to stabilize. Toga. Oh wow, the outer throttle disarmed. That is my bad. I guess when I clicked that, it disarmed. Okay, take off. Get back on the center line here. There's 80 knots.
V1. Rotate. V2.
Positive rate. Gear up. LNAV. N1 VNAV speed. Gear off, auto brake off, and let's bug our altitude all the way up to our flight level since we are uncontrolled. 350. There's our acceleration height. Gorgeous view. Wow, that looks incredible. And flaps up. right here, engine start switches will come off at 5,000 feet. And I'll put in the autopilot at this point. This is coming up on 5K, start switches off, and turn-offs off. The gear is up and off. Rather, let's just run the after takeoff checklist. My bad. Engine bleeds on, packs are auto, landing gear up and off, flaps up, no lights, after takeoff checklist complete. And we also got the auto brake off, as well as the start switches and our lights. So, autopilot's in, we're off to Memphis, or sorry, Midway. We just left Memphis, and that looks spectacular. Enjoy the view, guys. Welcome back into the flight deck. So we're up here at cruise, flight level 350, a little under 80 miles from top of the sun. So let's go ahead and prepare for that. And slight change of plans, we're not going to be landing on the 4s. I got an ADIS for Midway, and we're going to be landing 2-2 left, which is going to be fun. It's going to be this really interesting RNAV approach. So it'll be something new for you guys that we don't get too often. Normally we have straight-in ILSs, so a little bit of variety in this video. So first things first, we'll reset the MCP altitude. We're going to cross a fix, or an intersection called Stinky at 6,000 feet. Otherwise, we're just going to descend via the RNAV arrival, the ND4 arrival. So we'll set our altitude there to 6,000 feet. Pressurization panel's already set. We did that on the ground. We do not have an ILS frequency, or course. This is an RNAV approach, so there's no frequency for us to tune to. The approach course, though, is 228. So if we wanted to, we could set here on the course knobs 228 on the MCP, and we'll go ahead and do that. Right, so that is done. We have 5,000 feet of runway, or sorry, just under 6,000, 5,800 feet. So we're definitely going to need an auto brake of 3, and we're going to need to plant the plane down. We don't have a lot of room to roll. Insofar as our minimums are concerned, our minimums for this particular RNAV approach are 951 on the barometric altimeter, so we'll bug up our barometric altimeter here to 951 feet. There is 800, and there's 900, and there is 951. We need to have the runway in sight at that point, otherwise we're going missed. Approach information, so yeah, this is the fun part. Let's go over this. If we hop down here to the ND, I can step you through this. So it's go plan mode on the ND, and we can zoom in a bit here, reduce the range. And if we look at the legs page here, so we're going to track in on the arrival, and this is where it gets interesting. So we're at P catch there, and then to Ming at 4,000, Fenk at 4,000. Zoom out a little bit more so you guys can see this. This is what the approach is going to look like. So we're landing this direction. Here's 2-2 left. We track in from Ming to Fenk to Zassiv, and then we have a series of intermediate fixes there to bring us around this turn to Egluk at or above 1900, to Yacht at or above 1500, and then straight in on what looks like about a 3-mile final. So it's going to be a lot happening quickly. This is going to be challenging for sure for me. I'll try and hand fly it as much as possible. I'm quite excited for this. If we have to go mist, we climb to 1,300 feet and then make a left-hand turn direct to the Eon Vortac, and we go up to 2,600, so 2,600 on the mist approach altitude. The wind's out of the south, 180 at 6 currently, altimeter is 2991. Few clouds at 600, few clouds at 25,000, good visibility. And lastly, we should go ahead and set our landing speed here, so let us go about doing that. So we come down here to the FMS progress page. We have 8.2 on board and 6.5 at Midway. That's a difference of 1.7, 1,700 pounds. So a little simple math, that'll be 106.8 plus 3. It's going to be 106,900 pounds upon landing, which will give us a flap setting of 30, landing speed 121, and then we'll add a few knots for the wind. So that is us prepped for descent. The passenger signs are currently off. I'll turn those back on shortly, and we'll be starting down soon. Alright guys, welcome back into the flight deck. So we're about 15 miles from P-Catch there, and this is where things are going to start to get pretty interesting. So we ran the approach checklist already. The altimeters are set 2990. The fixed landing lights were turned on at 10,000 feet, and we'll go ahead and get our engine start switches here to continuous. And at this point, we'll kind of let the plane fly itself. This is an RNAV approach, meaning, and this is an RNAV-equipped aircraft, of course, and so the plane is more than capable of flying this on its own. However, we will keep a close eye on it and intervene if we need to. I see this gorgeous-looking scenery here, and we're actually going to overfly basically the field, not quite overfly the field, but overfly the back course here. So yeah, this will be fun. Really scenic approach here into Midway. I don't know if you could call the Midwest scenic, but it certainly looks nice. The way that Orbex models it, and it looks really incredible. Those trees add a lot. Orbex's trees. So 10 miles now from P-Catch. We have a slight tailwind pushing us. The biggest thing here that we're going to need to keep an eye on is speed. We're supposed to be at 210 knots at Ming, and then have a progressive deceleration from that point. So probably around Ming or Fenk before we start that left-hand turn, we'll go ahead and drop the gear. Playing it by ear again, I'm not familiar with these RNAV approaches, so I'm learning on the fly, and you guys will kind of see a beginner's approach here on the RNAV, because I won't have too much of an idea of what I'm doing either. I mean, some idea, but but not much of one. I guess that isn't exactly comforting. So there we go, 4,000. Now we're going to hit Ming and Fenk at 4,000, so we'll leave the MCP altitude there and then drop it down as needed as we continue the approach. So if we look just out kind of off the nose at like 11:30 here, should be able to see the field. There it is. I believe that is Midway right there. And this is the runway that we'll be landing on, if I'm not mistaken. It just looks absolutely gorgeous, these views. Yeah, stunning. Wow. hang tight. Speed should start to come down here fairly soon. You can see at Ming we have a deceleration point about halfway between P-Catch and Ming. I might slow us down a little bit before that, just to be sure that we're totally on top of everything. Again, we want to be slow here sooner rather than later. There we are over P-Catch. Deceleration is in under 2.5 miles now. And I'll bring out flaps 1 here in just a moment. Our deceleration should be fairly easy to achieve though, because you can see how close we are to 4,000 feet, so we're not exactly needing to lose speed and altitude at this point. We're only needing to lose that speed, which is pretty convenient. Plane does a really good job of flying itself there. The throttles will idle themselves and speed will drop down to 210. We're dropping ground speed and indicated airspeed very quickly. There's the airfield. Speed is good, altitude is good. And we'll bug our altitude down now to 2,900 feet. We won't begin that descent quite yet. It's going to stay at 4,000 until Fenk, and then we will begin to lose more altitude. Speed's coming down nicely. There's another deceleration to 188 knots. We'll take flaps 1 at this point. Decrease the range a little bit. We will drop the gear, take flaps 5 on the spoilers. And flaps 15 even. There's 1,900 or 1,000 to go for 29 rather. And we'll drop it down to 1,900 for Egluck, or Egluck rather. There's downtown Chicago. Wow, this is a very scenic approach. This is too cool. Could not have expected something this nice. And then by Zassiv there we want to be fully configured, so we will take flaps 30 at that point. Remember, the missed approach altitude is 2,600 feet as I look at the chart there. And as we roll out by Egluck, I will manually take control of the plane and hand fly it down. Alright, there's Zassiv, flaps 30. Our approach speed is 121 plus 5 knots. We'll call it 126, which is set. So VREF speed is set. Landing flap set. Get the rest of our lights on at this point. And we are fully configured to land. We're just standing by on the missed approach altitude, which as we roll out at Egluck, we will set up to 2,600 feet. Looking for the field, don't actually see it yet. We should be able to. It should be off this way. Looking, don't have it in sight. Ah, there it is. There's the field. There's the runway. Gorgeous. Frames are a little slow. I apologize for that, guys. I'll try and get these smoothed out by the next time we fly, so. Alright, runway's in sight. I'm going to manually take control and fly it in from here. My aircraft, missed approach altitude 2,600 feet set. My throttles. yeah, we're visual at this point with it. What we could have done is we could have hit approach there, and at this point it's moved, but it'll kind of give us, as you can see, actually it gives us a little pseudo glide path, and localizer, it's not totally legit, but it's to help visually with the instruments there. Obviously we're visual, so we don't much need it. Add a bit of power, speed's dropping a touch. Frame rates seem to have smoothed out. And we got a 9-knot wind right on the nose. This has all come together quite nicely. Coming up on our minimums, obviously these are irrelevant because we're visual. And remember, we really kind of want to plant this landing because this is quite a short runway. We don't have a lot of room to play with, so a firm landing is not necessarily a bad landing in this situation. There are our minimums. We can disregard them. It's a ground effect. We have quite a bit of float there. Push the nose over. Reversers are out. Hold the nose up for some aerodynamic braking. Push the nose over. 80 knots. 60 knots. We're manually braking, and we are down at Chicago Midway. Easy there on the brakes. Let's see if we can't swing a hard left here to vacate. Yep, and we will join, let's see what taxiway this is rather. This appears to be Kilo. Okay. There we are, welcome to Midway guys. We'll get the aircraft cleaned up and we are taxiing in to gate Alpha 15. Welcome back guys. We're just about to pull into the gate here. It's Alpha 15, it's off to the right here. So, we will start to swing a right. Off at the taxiway and onto the apron. You can get rid of the taxi light at this point and set the transponder to standby. And we should have a marshaller. Yep, I can see him there. He's just tucked in under the terminal. Very cool. And welcome to Midway. This was a lot of fun, this flight. So we'll park, get the aircraft shut down and cleaned up, and then wrap up the flight. Ooh, it's going to be kind of difficult to see where exactly he wants us to park just because... There we are. Yeah, it was kind of hard to see. Brakes are set. Power is transferred to the APU gens. APU gens are on the bus. Engines can be cut. Jetway can move on over to us. Anti-collision light, electric hydraulics, probe heat, window heat, cleaning up the aircraft. And let's get some ground connections going here. Whoops. There we are, and we can open some doors as well. Connect to ground power, get rid of the APU, and close up the final fuel pump. And that is us at Midway. We'll get deboarding here soon and wrap this up.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the flight. That was fun doing something a little different with the RNAV approach there instead of straight in ILS. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did as well. As always, questions, feedback, constructive critique, totally welcome. And I will see you all next time. So, until next time, everybody, so long.